You became known fairly quickly for movie soundtracks. Mm-hmm. How did that happen?
I met John Peters when he was with Barbra Streisand, and we became friends during that time when she was doing A Star Is Born. And then John and Barbra split, and his first project was a thing called Caddyshack, which he produced with the National Lampoon people. And so he called me and said, come by, see this movie I'm almost done with. And we screened Caddyshack before there was any gopher in it. And, you know, I just laughed my ass off. And I said, this is hilarious. I want to write every song for this. So I wrote about 3 songs for Caddyshack. And then my best friend, Dean Pitchford, had written a screenplay. And it said, would you read my screenplay and check it out? And I read it, and he says, I need a couple songs for this. And I said, well, it's not Gone with the Wind, but... So screenplay was called Footloose. And so as a favor to Dean, I wrote a couple songs for his screen. And people don't realize, in Hollywood, the cab driver has a screenplay. So it's not unusual to...
By the way, I have a screenplay.
I know, I figured you were going to say that. You know, it's not unusual to have somebody hand you a screenplay and say, would you write a song for it? But Dean was a friend of mine, so I did. So favor to a friend becomes a favor to me. Was a year later, this is the biggest movie of the summer. You can't see that coming.
Now I gotta cut loose, footloose, kicked off the Sunday shoes. Please, Louise, pull me up on my knees. Jack, get back, come on before we crack. Lose, don't lose, everybody cut footloose.
The movie thing is an interesting synergy, because the movie lifts the song lifts the movie. And back then, that hadn't been done. Pop music and movies were not necessarily symbiotic. And all of a sudden, it was working. And MTV was a new thing. And MTV was playing the videos from the movies, and it was killing all the other videos.
And how did you get with Top Gun?
Well, they did what's called a cattle call. That was a Bruckheimer-Simpson movie. And they had every pop act in the business was coming to see a screening of Tom Cruise's new movie. This was like his second movie. Risky Business was the breakthrough, right? And so everybody knew that Cruise was going to take off. So they had a powerful, you know, opportunity to get the biggest act. So I went with my writing partner, and we saw the movie, and I said, let's not compete with those opening credits. Let's write for the volleyball scene. Nobody's going to write for that. So we'll get a song in the movie. So we did. We wrote a song called Playing with the Boys. And I was in the studio recording Playing with the Boys when I got a call from Giorgio Moroder, who had written the bulk of Danger Zone and quite a few of the songs in Top Gun. And he said, I've got to put a voice on this song. And the band I had, the lawyers killed the deal, so I have no singer for this song.
So he has Danger Zone now, but he needs a singer.
He needs a singer.
And
it wasn't supposed to be me, it was supposed to be Jefferson Starship.
Right.
But they got pulled out of the project. So, so he knew I was in the studio down the street. So this is how it works, right? You think this is like somebody thought about this? No, I'm in the studio, and he says, do you want to sing my song? I said, well, is it up-tempo? Because I've been writing nothing but ballads, and I need something up-tempo. He says, yeah, it rocks. Okay, I'll be right there. I didn't listen to it. I came inside unseen. Made a few changes to it, rewrote a little lyric, added some chords. We recorded it.
Well, you were such a part of a special time in our country's history with the We Are the World project. Mm-hmm. What was that like? You worked, among others, with Michael Jackson?
Right. Well, I'd worked with Michael on a song on one of my earlier records, and we became friends. And he trusted me for some reason, and he and Lionel had written We Are the World, and they were putting together an all-star cast to sing it. And so Michael called me, he wanted me on the front line, and he asked, you know, who do you recommend? And they already had a pretty strong cast. They were pulling everybody from, was it the American Music Awards that night, I think? And so we all went to Quincy's studio after the American Music Awards. My bragging rights was that I pulled Huey Lewis into the front line, because Michael wasn't yet aware of Huey. We had, Prince was supposed to be there, but Prince went, I don't want to hang out with all you people. So he didn't show up. My favorite story, which I hope I don't get in trouble for, is that Paul Simon was on the riser in front of me, and he looked up and said, he looked at the whole cast behind him, and he said, boy, if a bomb lands on this place, John Denver's back on top.
I find that particularly funny.
Yeah.
Good line ad lib.
It is a good line,
Good line
isn't it?
ad lib. When I get back to We Are the World, do you ever think we can have that sense of community again? It was a special moment.
Yeah, it really
when
was.
We felt a very special sense of community.
Mm-hmm.
Will we ever see that again?
I think we will. We had, as you're probably aware of, fires and mudslides. In my town, in Montecito, we lost 22 people and 500 homes to the mudslides. And people aren't aware of the level of devastation that happened. Everybody knows somebody who died. And the amount of grief was overwhelming. And I got called by 3 really talented teenagers who had been told there was nothing they could do to help. And they decided that because they'd done talent shows and they were the top of the cream of the crop, they said, we think we can put together enough of the talent, teen talent in this town, to do a benefit concert. And we want you to headline. I said, no, I don't want to headline. I want to help you produce it. It should be all teenagers. So I stepped in and I helped them put a show together where they, instead of competing with each other, which has been the norm, they help each other and they sing on each other's songs. And I brought a band in, I brought a director, I brought production, stage crew. We made a show out of it. And what happened was the teenagers became that voice that the adults needed to bring everybody together to express their grief and to open their hearts to the possibility of helping each other. And I think that's the future of the shift in consciousness that's going to happen in this country, that we pull each other up instead of fighting each other. And it's going to take a little while.